Okay, this is just basically a follow-up video because I didn't really get to everything while I was outside. So, yeah, I went mudding. You can go mudding with these, obviously, but be forewarned, if it's too thick, you're gonna have issues with mud globs getting in your servos and shit like that. It's not that the truck can't make it through the mud, it's a fucking... the mud will eventually start jamming your shit up. So yeah, it definitely, like 100% was in second gear today. Because you could hear it bury the clutch, and it was probably doing already like 30, and just buries the clutch. So I can just give her, and oh yeah, it definitely does do like 70, 80k. Oh, nice piece of mud there I just picked out. Stuck in my head. Oh, there we go. But, oh man. I knew second gear would go faster, but I didn't think it would go that much faster. It does shift a bit too early, because I can no longer do wheelies until I'm at like half speed in second gear, and then it actually still tries to lift the front end. Oh man, I haven't even seen a Savage that can do that. Yeah, second gear about half, like mid-range RPM range on the engine must be where the peak power is, because right about there she just, tries pulling up again. I had her walking on the back tires in second gear trying to keep the speed on grass. Just insane. It could be stuck in second completely, I'm not sure. But she was still spinning the tires a bit off the line, so I wasn't too worried about it. Plus it's got a slipper, so. Also, the other thing with these ones, when you're mudding, my spur gear obviously got muddy, and then of course you have sand and shit on your spur gear, and it's going to chew it down like mad. Spur gear's fine, but just things to think about. If you want to go mudding, you're going to want a truck with an encased gear if you can get it. Kind of like the, I think the Losi LST and Aftershock both have side spur gear covers. They don't completely cover the gears, but they do cover the front of the gear, because the gears are right here, so it's just a cover, and it would protect most of the mud and shit from getting on your spur gears. Also, I might try and make a little, like, roof for my servo arms, like a little plastic roof or something, so that the mud can't actually land on the servos per se. Because that was my only real problem, was mud all got in here, and just everything stopped working. My throttle didn't want to come back, and brakes weren't working. The only thing I don't like about this truck so far, like, I mean, this is pretty good for an Exceed cheap-ass fucking truck. I gotta admit, this thing is, wow. I figured I would have had an A-arm broken or something like the second day I had it. Figured I would have took a wheel right off or something, but no, she's taking her good. What was I gonna say? Oh, right. These wheels like to jam up sometimes. Again, it could have been my drive shaft, because it always seems to be this front left wheel. But, okay, yeah, you can see here the knuckle. Oh, I can't. There's no light in there. So that didn't help much. Okay, well, anyway, the knuckles for steering are very close to the rim. I don't know, yeah, you can see, yeah, right there. It even has a little rub line where the rim's been rubbing on it a little bit. Probably when the tire came loose, it was just rubbing. But sometimes a stick or whatever will get stuck in there and jam the wheel up. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. you'll be trying to drive and it'll be three-wheel drive and you'll be like, what the hell? Sometimes it'll hit a bump and knock it loose on its own. Sometimes you gotta stop and pick it out. But other than that, I have no complaints. I mean, yeah, second gear was a whore to get working, but they didn't actually... I mean, yeah, it might be their fault because they put it in wrong and the bearing doesn't work, but I haven't had to actually buy any parts for it. Nothing's broken except the body towers, but me and Dan both noticed they were weak looking on the website. So yeah, good truck. She's taking a beating. I even did a few jumps today, like decent jumps, 10, 15 foot. Landing her on pavement. I was jumping a snowbank in a driveway. So, not bad. Shocks took a beating. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Gouged her up a bit. Yeah, so far no complaints. Just a bitch to get that tranny working, holy. But now that it's working, she just, oh my god, goes like snot. I thought it was fast in first, but shit, you hit second and you're gone. I actually fixed the transmission last night when Dan was here, and we did briefly try it last night, but the spring must have been just that little bit too tight or something, because I had her ringing out and she still didn't want to shift. So I figured today I'd just loosen the spring out a bit and take her out to the dunes, or the big mud pit, and if she shifts, it shifts. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And she did. Early, but early's better than never. A lot better. So yeah, I just gotta tighten that spring just a little bit, so it shifts a little bit later, and I think she'll be just about perfect. Then I'll get some new body mounts, and probably I'm really thinking about getting a Savage wheelie bar for this. Like I said, I took it to the hobby shop. I'd say a good 50, 60, maybe 70% of the parts are swappable. Like just easy unscrew and slap it on. A couple parts are different. Like this mount for the top bracket here, the screw is over a little more, and just little piddly shit like that. You can always drill a new hole. But the wheelie bar would be easy enough to screw on, because this thing's just about had it. I had some rubber in here but it fell out while I was out. So yeah, there you go, with my cooling add-ons. They're super glued to the head so they don't come out. Got the copper on there to help it spread from the head to the heatsink. The only thing about doing this is it takes a little bit longer for it to warm up to the point where she's actually ready to go. But I mean, I'm not gonna bitch, because once it does get warm, it doesn't actually get anywhere near as hot as it was. So I'm pretty well ringing it out the same RPM as I was, but now it's in second gear, so she's just hauling. Like I said, yeah, I got some mad tire conage today. I was doing donuts in first gear, well, for a week basically, and you get one tire to lift on the one side and you barely get any tire coning at all. And today I thought the tire was going to explode. So it's definitely running a lot better. Oh, I have a question for some people. If any of you have a 2.4 gigahertz system for receiver, I just want to know, like, pros and cons. Thinking about getting one for this. Haven't really had any response issues. Just I don't trust the cheap Exceed controller, basically. Same as their cheap ass servos. Like, for instance, oh, what are we touching? Oh, it's stiffened up. How'd that happen? Oh, there we go. That's all servo play. And that's a Metal Gear servo. I thought at first it was the servo saver, and I took it off and checked it, and no, you can actually wiggle the top of the servo like that. So, I mean, yes, a lot of parts on it are cheap, but so far she's taking it like a champ. No, I'll keep you guys updated.